Chapter 1: The Crimson Horizon. The twin moons of Mars hung like ghostly sentinels in the rust-colored sky as Lieutenant Martian adjusted her neural interface, the soft blue glow of the holographic displays casting ethereal shadows across her angular features. New Olympia, the sprawling metropolis that housed 2 million souls beneath its protective atmospheric domes, pulsed with the rhythmic heartbeat of humanity's greatest achievement. From her vantage point atop the central command tower, she could see the vast network of crystalline structures that stretched to the horizon, each one a testament to 8 centuries of human ingenuity and determination. The year 2897 marked the zenith of human technological prowess. Faster-than-light communication networks connected Earth's remaining cities with colonies scattered across 17 star systems. Quantum computers processed reality itself, manipulating matter at the subatomic level to create materials that defied the laws of physics as understood by ancient civilizations. Bioengineering had eliminated disease, extended human lifespans to 3 centuries, and enhanced cognitive abilities beyond recognition. Yet for all their advancement, the colonists of Mars maintained a connection to their ancestral home that transcended mere nostalgia. Earth, though scarred by millennia of climate change and resource depletion, remained the beating heart of human civilization. The blue planet's recovery in the last 2 centuries, aided by terraforming technologies perfected on Mars, had become a symbol of hope that resonated throughout the galaxy. Luina's enhanced vision, courtesy of retinal implants that could perceive across 17 different spectrums, swept across the Martian landscape. The planet's transformation had been gradual but remarkable. Atmospheric processors, massive structures that dwarfed the ancient pyramids of Egypt, had slowly thickened the atmosphere over the past 4 centuries. Genetically modified organisms, designed specifically for the harsh Martian environment, had begun the long process of terraforming that would not be complete for another 1,000 years. The lieutenant's reverie was interrupted by a subtle vibration in her neural implant. Priority communication from Fleet Admiral Reeves, transmitted through the quantum entanglement network that connected all major military installations across human space. The message materialized directly in her visual cortex, bypassing her eyes entirely. "Chun, report to Strategic Command immediately. Priority Alpha clearance required." Priority Alpha. In her 15 years of military service, Luina had never received a Priority Alpha communication. Such classifications were reserved for threats to the survival of human civilization itself. Her enhanced nervous system, augmented with synthetic neurons that could process information at superhuman speeds, immediately began analyzing potential scenarios. Terrorist attack on Earth? System-wide plague? Catastrophic failure of the hyperspace beacon network? The transit pod that carried her through New Olympia's underground transport system moved at 300 km per hour, its magnetic levitation propulsion creating no sound or vibration. The tunnel walls displayed a constant stream of information: news feeds, atmospheric readings, population statistics, resource allocation data, all processed and filtered by the city's central AI to provide relevant information to each passenger based on their security clearance and personal interests. As Luina traveled deeper into the city's core, the architecture around her became increasingly sophisticated. The residential districts with their elegant spires and terraced gardens gave way to the industrial sectors where massive fusion reactors provided power for the entire colony. Here, automated mining operations extracted resources from deep within Mars's crust, while molecular assemblers converted raw materials into everything from food to starship hulls. Strategic Command occupied the heart of New Olympia, a vast complex buried 2 kilometers beneath the surface and protected by energy shields capable of withstanding direct nuclear bombardment. The facility's quantum-encrypted communication arrays maintained constant contact with Earth, the outer colonies, and the deep space monitoring stations that served as humanity's early warning system against potential threats. Fleet Admiral Sarah Reeves stood at the center of the command chamber, her silver hair reflecting the light from dozens of holographic displays that surrounded her like a constellation of stars. At 143 years old, she possessed the experience of 7 decades of military service and the physical vitality of someone half her age, thanks to the cellular regeneration treatments that had become standard for all members of the Colonial Defense Forces. "Lieutenant Chin," Admiral Reeves said without turning around, her enhanced hearing having detected Luina's arrival long before she entered the chamber. "What do you know about the Kepler Deep Space Array?" The Kepler Array was humanity's most advanced sensor network, a collection of quantum telescopes positioned at the edge of human space, capable of detecting and analyzing phenomena across thousands of light years. Its primary function was scientific research, but it also served as an early warning system for potential threats approaching from the galactic core. "Standard monitoring station, Admiral. Advanced quantum sensors, automated research protocols, minimal crew complement. Last I heard, they were studying gravitational wave patterns from the galactic center." Admiral Reeves finally turned to face her subordinate, and Luina was surprised to see genuine concern in her superior's eyes. The Admiral had commanded fleets in the asteroid mining wars of 2847, had overseen the evacuation of Europa when its ice mining operations destabilized the Moon's core, and had never once shown anything resembling fear. Until now. 47 hours ago, Kepler Array detected an anomaly. A massive gravitational disturbance moving through space at approximately 90% of light speed. The Admiral gestured to one of the holographic displays, which showed a three-dimensional map of local space. A red dot moved along a trajectory that terminated at Mars. "Natural phenomenon?" Luina asked, though her enhanced intuition was already providing her with the answer. "Negative. The objects we've determined, are artificial. Massive beyond our current technological capabilities, and definitely not of human origin. Our deep space monitoring stations have been tracking 17 separate signatures, each one approximately the size of our largest colony ships. 17 ships. The largest human colony vessels could transport 50,000 people along with all the resources necessary to establish a new settlement. If these alien craft were of similar size but designed for warfare rather than colonization, they could potentially carry invasion forces numbering in the millions." "ETA?" Luina asked, her military training overriding the existential terror that was beginning to creep into her consciousness. 63 hours. Maybe less if they're capable of further acceleration." Admiral Reeves manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on Mars and its surrounding space. "We've already sent coded warnings to Earth and the outer colonies, but with the quantum communication network, they'll have less than 12 hours to prepare once these ships arrive in our system." The implications were staggering. Humanity had speculated about the existence of alien life for over a millennium, but despite exploring hundreds of star systems, no evidence of intelligent extraterrestrial life had ever been discovered. The galaxy appeared to be empty, filled with worlds ripe for colonization but devoid of civilizations that might compete with humanity's expansion. Now, in the span of less than 3 days, that fundamental assumption about humanity's place in the universe was about to be shattered. "What are our defensive capabilities?" Luina asked, her tactical mind already shifting into operational mode. Admiral Reeves activated another display, showing the orbital defense platforms that surrounded Mars like a mechanical asteroid belt. Each platform housed plasma cannons capable of vaporizing incoming meteors, missile batteries loaded with fusion warheads, and point defense systems designed to intercept incoming projectiles. The network had been designed to protect against human-scale threats, rogue corporations, terrorist organizations, or colonial rebellions. Whether it would be effective against an alien invasion force was unknown. "We have 43 orbital defense platforms, each one equivalent to a heavy cruiser in terms of firepower. The Mars colonial fleet consists of 12 destroyers, 6 cruisers, 2 battleships, and the dreadnought New Ares. Total crew complement across all vessels is approximately 30,000. 30,000 defenders against an unknown enemy with technology that allowed them to cross interstellar space at unprecedented speeds." The mathematics of the situation were not encouraging. "Our intelligence suggests," Admiral Reeves continued, "that these ships emerged from deep space rather than following any known hyperspace routes. Either they possess faster-than-light travel technology superior to our own, or they've been traveling for centuries at sublight speeds. Any communication attempts? Negative response to all standard first contact protocols. The ships maintain radio silence across all frequencies. However, our quantum sensors have detected massive energy signatures emanating from the lead vessel. Whatever power source they're using, it makes our fusion reactors look like campfires. Luina studied the tactical displays, her enhanced cognitive abilities processing the information at superhuman speeds. The alien ships would arrive in Martian space within 3 days. The orbital defense network, while formidable by human standards, had never been tested against technology that might be centuries or millennia more advanced than Earth's. The colonial fleet was powerful enough to maintain order among human settlements, but had never engaged in large-scale combat against an equivalent force. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Fleet Admiral Reeves manipulated the holographic controls, and the display shifted to show detailed schematics of New Olympia's defensive systems. Energy shields protected the city's domes, underground bunkers could house the entire population for months, and automated defense turrets had been built into the city's infrastructure. Mars had been designed to survive anything the hostile environment could throw at it, but an alien invasion had never been part of the planning parameters. "We're implementing Defense Protocol Omega. All civilian populations are to be evacuated to underground shelters within 24 hours. The colonial fleet will take up defensive positions around Mars and its moons. Orbital platforms will be reconfigured for maximum firepower and linked into a unified command network." Defense Protocol Omega was theoretical, a plan developed by strategic analysts who had perhaps watched too many ancient entertainment programs about interplanetary warfare. No one had ever expected it to be implemented. "What about Earth?" Luina asked. "Earth Command is mobilizing the home fleet and activating all defensive installations in the Sol system. However, given the travel time required even with our fastest ships, we can't expect reinforcements for at least 10 days. We're on our own." The weight of responsibility settled on Luina's shoulders like a lead blanket. 2 million colonists, the product of 8 centuries of human determination and sacrifice, now depended on a defense force that had never faced anything more threatening than smugglers and claim jumpers. "There's something else," Admiral Reeves said, her voice dropping to a whisper despite the secure communication field that surrounded them. "Our deep space analysis of the alien ships has revealed something troubling. The energy signatures suggest they're not just warships, they're equipped with planetary bombardment capabilities. If they choose to attack Mars directly rather than attempting an invasion, we won't be able to stop them." Planetary bombardment. The complete sterilization of a world's surface, turning 2 million people into vapor and ash in a matter of hours. Luina had studied the theoretical capabilities of such weapons in military academy, but the reality of facing such a threat was almost paralyzing. "However," the Admiral continued, "there may be a way to prevent that outcome. Our analysis suggests that the alien fleet is operating under centralized command. If we could identify and neutralize their command vessel, the remaining ships might be forced to withdraw or at least cease coordinated operations. A decapitation strike? Remove the head, and the body dies." It was a strategy as old as warfare itself, but implementing it against an enemy with superior technology and unknown capabilities would require precision, courage, and more than a little luck. "You want me to lead an assault team against their command ship?" "Not exactly." Admiral Reeves activated another holographic display, this one showing the schematics of a vessel Luina had never seen before. It was sleek, angular, and approximately the size of a colonial fleet destroyer, but its design incorporated technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics. "What you're looking at is the prototype stealth ship Phantom, developed in the deep research laboratories beneath Olympus Mons. It incorporates quantum cloaking technology that renders it effectively invisible to all known detection methods." Quantum cloaking. Luina had heard rumors of such technology, theoretical applications of quantum mechanics that could manipulate the probability of a ship's existence, making it exist in a superposition of states that rendered it undetectable. The power requirements alone should have made such technology impossible with current human engineering capabilities. The ship is designed for a crew of one, Admiral Reeves explained. All systems are controlled through direct neural interface, allowing for reaction times measured in microseconds rather than seconds. The pilot becomes part of the ship, thinking at machine speeds while retaining human intuition and creativity. And you want me to pilot this ship into the heart of an alien fleet, locate their command vessel, and somehow destroy it. The Phantom is equipped with a single quantum torpedo, a weapon that exists in a state of quantum superposition until the moment of impact. At that point, it collapses into reality with the force of a small nuclear warhead, but because it exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously, no shield technology can block it. A suicide mission. The chances of successfully penetrating an alien fleet, identifying the correct target, and escaping before the inevitable retaliation were minimal at best. But if Luina succeeded, she might save not just Mars but potentially all of human civilization. "When do I leave?" she asked. Admiral Reeves smiled for the first time since Luina had arrived. "The Phantom is being prepared now. You'll launch in 18 hours, which should put you in position to intercept the alien fleet while they're still 12 hours out from Mars. Your neural interface will need to be upgraded to handle the ship's quantum processing requirements, and you'll undergo accelerated training in the flight simulators. 18 hours to prepare for the most important mission in human history." Luina felt the familiar surge of adrenaline that came before every combat operation, but this time it was tempered by the knowledge that the fate of her species might depend on her actions. "One more thing," Admiral Reeves said as Luina turned to leave. "The quantum cloaking system has never been tested under combat conditions. Our simulations suggest it should work, but if the aliens have detection capabilities we haven't accounted for, you'll be flying a prototype ship into the middle of an enemy fleet with no backup and no escape plan." "Understood, Admiral. I won't let you down." As Luina left Strategic Command, her mind was already processing the tactical challenges ahead. She would be flying alone into unknown danger, equipped with untested technology, against an enemy whose capabilities and intentions remained a complete mystery. The odds of success were astronomical, but the alternative, the complete annihilation of human civilization, was unacceptable. The next 18 hours would determine whether humanity continued its expansion into the galaxy or became another extinct species, remembered only by the empty cities they left behind. The neural interface upgrade took place in the medical bay deep beneath Olympus Mons, where Mars's extinct volcano housed the colony's most advanced research facilities. Dr. Elena Vasquez, chief of cybernetic medicine, worked with the precision of someone who had performed such procedures thousands of times, though never under such urgent circumstances. "The quantum processing matrix will integrate directly with your existing neural pathways," Dr. Vasquez explained as she guided the microscopic surgical robots through Luina's skull. "Your brain will essentially become a biological quantum computer, capable of processing information in multiple probability states simultaneously." Luina lay motionless on the surgical table, her consciousness expanded by the anesthetic field that surrounded her nervous system. She could feel the microscopic machines working inside her brain, establishing connections that would allow her to interface directly with technology that existed at the very edge of human understanding. "There are risks," Dr. Vasquez continued, her voice transmitted directly into Luina's auditory cortex. "The human brain wasn't designed to process quantum information. Some test subjects have experienced what we call reality displacement, the inability to distinguish between different probability states. In extreme cases, the subject becomes convinced that multiple contradictory versions of reality are simultaneously true." "What about the success rate?" 87% of subjects show full integration within 6 hours. 10% experience minor cognitive dysfunction that resolves within 72 hours. 3%. Dr. Vasquez paused, her silence more ominous than any words could have been. 3%? Permanent psychological fragmentation. The subjects remain functional but experience reality as a constantly shifting kaleidoscope of probability. They're still human, technically, but their perception of existence becomes fundamentally alien. 3% chance of losing her sanity. Given the alternative, the complete destruction of human civilization, the odds seemed acceptable. Luina focused on the tactical challenges ahead, using the mental discipline she had learned during her military training to maintain psychological stability during the procedure. Integration complete, Dr. Vasquez announced. How do you feel? Luina sat up slowly, expecting disorientation or pain. Instead, she felt expanded. Her perception of the room seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. She could see it as it was, as it had been moments before, and as it might be in the immediate future. The sensation was disconcerting but manageable. Like I'm seeing reality from several different angles at once, she replied. That's normal. The quantum processing matrix allows your brain to perceive probability clouds rather than fixed states. With practice, you'll learn to focus on the most likely outcomes while retaining awareness of alternatives. Luina stood and walked to the window that looked out over the research complex. The Martian landscape outside seemed to shimmer with possibility. She could see it as it was now, red and barren, but also as it might become in 1,000 years, green with engineered vegetation and blue with artificial oceans. The multiple perceptions overlapped without conflict, her enhanced mind processing them as different facets of the same reality. I'm ready for the flight training, she said. The Phantom waited in a hangar carved from solid rock 3 kilometers beneath the Martian surface. Even with her enhanced perception, Luina found it difficult to focus on the ship directly. The quantum cloaking system created a subtle distortion field that made the vessel seem insubstantial, as if it existed only partially in normal space. Chief Engineer Marcus Webb, a man whose cybernetic modifications had replaced most of his original body with quantum-enhanced mechanical components, guided Luina through the ship's systems. His voice came through speakers integrated into his throat, his original vocal cords having been replaced decades ago during an industrial accident. The Phantom operates on principles that would have been considered magic a century ago, Webb explained as they entered the ship's cockpit. The whole material exists in a state of quantum superposition, allowing it to phase through normal matter when the cloaking system is active. The propulsion system manipulates space-time itself, creating localized distortions that allow for acceleration beyond what conventional physics would allow. The cockpit was unlike anything Luina had ever seen. Instead of traditional controls, the chamber contained a single chair surrounded by a sphere of quantum interface points that would connect directly to her enhanced nervous system. Once integrated with the ship, she would control it through thought alone. Her consciousness expanded to encompass the vessel's sensors and weapons systems. The quantum torpedo is stored in a probability field until the moment of firing, Webb continued, leading her to the ship's single weapon system. It exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously, making it impossible to intercept or deflect. When it impacts the target, all probability states collapse into a single, devastating explosion. How do I target something I can't see? The ship's quantum sensors can detect probability distortions created by large masses, even when those masses are using advanced stealth technology. You'll see potential target locations rather than the targets themselves, but your enhanced intuition should allow you to identify the most likely threat signatures. Probability targeting. Luina would essentially be aiming at mathematical constructs rather than physical objects, trusting her augmented brain to distinguish between allied and enemy signatures based on quantum fluctuations in spacetime itself. What about escape procedures? Webb's mechanical features shifted into what might have been a smile. The quantum drive can create localized space-time distortions that allow for instantaneous displacement across limited distances. Think of it as controlled teleportation, though the energy requirements limit you to a maximum of 3 jumps before the system needs time to recharge. 3 chances to escape from the heart of an enemy fleet. Luina had faced worse odds, though never with the fate of human civilization hanging in the balance. There's one more thing, Webb said, his voice dropping to a whisper. The quantum systems aboard this ship are so advanced that they may actually be capable of limited time manipulation. Our theoretical models suggest that under extreme circumstances, the pilot might be able to briefly experience alternative timelines or even reverse localized causality. Time manipulation. The very concept violated everything Luina understood about the nature of reality. But then again, Everything about this mission pushed the boundaries of human knowledge and capability. How long do I have to learn these systems? 16 hours for basic familiarization, then you launch. The ship's AI will assist with complex calculations, but ultimately, success will depend on your ability to think in quantum states while retaining human judgment and creativity. The training sessions took place in virtual reality simulators that could perfectly replicate the Phantom's systems without the risks associated with actually operating quantum technology. Luina found herself adapting to the ship's controls with surprising speed, her enhanced neural pathways processing information faster than she had ever thought possible. In the simulations, she practiced flying through asteroid fields while cloaked, using quantum sensors to navigate around obstacles that existed only as probability clouds. She learned to target enemy vessels based on their gravitational signatures rather than visual confirmation, trusting mathematical calculations rather than her natural instincts. But it was the quantum torpedo that proved most challenging to master. The weapon existed in a superposition of states until the moment of firing, meaning that Luina had to maintain focus on multiple potential target locations simultaneously. Her enhanced brain could process the calculations, but the psychological strain was enormous. Remember, Instructor Captain Torres said during one particularly difficult simulation, you're not just aiming at where the target is, but where it might be across all possible timelines. The torpedo will automatically select the most probable impact point, but you need to maintain quantum awareness of all possibilities until the moment of firing. After 12 hours of intensive training, Luina felt confident in her ability to operate the Phantom's basic systems. The advanced capabilities, time manipulation, reality displacement, quantum probability targeting, would have to be mastered during actual combat, assuming she survived long enough to employ them. You're as ready as anyone could be, Admiral Reeves said as they stood in the hangar, watching technicians make final preparations to the Phantom. The alien fleet has maintained course and speed. They'll reach Mars in 36 hours. 36 hours. Luina would intercept them while they were still 12 hours out from the planet, giving her one chance to identify and destroy their command vessel before they could begin their attack on the colony. What if I fail? Admiral Reeves was quiet for a long moment, her gaze fixed on the shimmer of distorted space that marked the Phantom's location. Then we fight them with everything we have and hope that Earth can learn from our defeat. But I don't believe you'll fail, Lieutenant. You've trained for this your entire career, even if you didn't know it. Luina approached the Phantom, feeling the strange tingling sensation that occurred when normal matter came into contact with the ship's quantum field. As she placed her hand on the hull, she could feel the vessel's systems responding to her presence, quantum interfaces establishing preliminary connections with her enhanced nervous system. The boarding process felt like stepping into a dream. Reality became fluid around her as the ship's quantum systems integrated with her consciousness. She could feel the Phantom's sensors extending her perception beyond the hangar, beyond Mars itself, reaching out into the void of space where 17 alien ships continued their relentless approach toward humanity's greatest achievement. Launch in 15 minutes, Admiral Reeves announced over the communications system. May the stars guide you home, Lieutenant. As Luina settled into the Phantom's pilot chair, she felt the ship's quantum interfaces connecting directly to her enhanced nervous system. Her consciousness expanded, encompassing sensors that could perceive across multiple dimensions and weapon systems that existed in states of quantum superposition. She was no longer simply Lieutenant Luina Chin. She had become something new, a hybrid of human intuition and quantum technology. The hangar doors opened, revealing the Martian sky above. In the distance, she could see the lights of New Olympia, 2 million souls depending on her success. Beyond that, invisible to normal perception but clearly visible to her quantum-enhanced senses, 17 alien ships continued their approach. Phantom requesting permission to launch, she said, her voice transmitted through quantum entanglement directly to Strategic Command. Permission granted, Admiral Reeves replied. Bring our people home, Lieutenant. The Phantom rose from the hangar with perfect silence, its quantum drive manipulating space-time itself to achieve liftoff. As Mars fell away below her, Luina felt the last connection to normal reality fade away. She was now alone in the void, armed with humanity's most advanced technology, facing an enemy whose capabilities and intentions remained completely unknown. The hunt was about to begin. Space around Mars felt different through the Phantom's quantum sensors. Where Luina's natural vision saw only empty void dotted with distant stars, her enhanced perception revealed a complex tapestry of gravitational fields, electromagnetic radiation, and probability clouds that shifted and danced in patterns her pre-enhancement mind could never have comprehended. The alien fleet appeared as 17 distinct distortions in space-time, massive signatures that carved furrows through the quantum foam like ships moving through water. Even at this distance, still 8 hours from their intercept point, Luina could sense the enormous power sources that drove them, energy patterns unlike anything in humanity's technological arsenal. "Phantom to Mars Command," she transmitted through the quantum communication link. "I have sensor contact with the alien fleet. Beginning approach vector analysis. Acknowledged, Phantom. All defensive stations report ready. Civilian evacuation is complete. 2 million souls are counting on you." 2 million people. The number was abstract until Luina considered what it meant. 2 million individual lives, each with their own hopes, dreams, and fears. Children who would never reach adulthood if she failed. Scientists whose discoveries might unlock the secrets of the universe. Artists whose creations might inspire generations yet unborn. All depending on her ability to succeed where the mathematics suggested only failure was possible. The Phantom's quantum cloaking system activated with a sensation like reality folding in on itself. Luina watched the ship's hull become translucent, then invisible, existing in a state of quantum superposition that rendered it undetectable to conventional sensors. Even her own enhanced perception had difficulty maintaining a consistent image of the vessel. It seemed to flicker between existence and non-existence, present and absent simultaneously. Moving at near light speed through quantum space, the Phantom closed the distance to the alien fleet in a matter of hours rather than days. As they drew closer, Luina's enhanced sensors began to resolve details about the approaching ships that sent chills through her augmented nervous system. The vessels were vast, each one easily the size of New Olympia's largest residential domes. Their hulls appeared to be constructed from some kind of adaptive material that shifted and flowed like liquid metal, constantly reconfiguring itself in response to gravitational stresses and electromagnetic fields. The ships moved in perfect formation, their coordination suggesting either a hive mind or communication technology that operated faster than light itself. But it was the energy signatures that truly terrified her. Each ship radiated power levels that dwarfed Mars's entire electrical grid. The lead vessel, presumably the command ship she needed to destroy, generated an energy field so intense that it created visible distortions in space-time itself, bending light and matter around it like a mobile black hole. "Phantom to Mars Command, priority transmission," Luina reported. "Alien fleet consists of 17 vessels, each approximately 5 kilometers in length. Power signatures suggest technology centuries beyond our current capabilities. Attempting to identify command vessel for target selection." The response came through the quantum link with a slight delay. Even instantaneous communication could not entirely eliminate the effects of space-time distortion around such massive objects. "Acknowledged, Phantom. Deep space analysis confirms your readings. Whatever these things are, they're operating on principles we don't understand. Exercise extreme caution. Extreme caution while flying an experimental ship into the heart of an enemy fleet using weapons that existed only in theoretical physics." Luina might have laughed if the situation weren't so dire. As the Phantom approached the alien formation, Luina began to notice something troubling about their movement patterns. The ships weren't simply traveling toward Mars. They were actively scanning space around them, their sensor sweeps creating ripples in the quantum foam that her enhanced perception could detect. They were looking for something. Or someone. "Computer, analyze alien scanning patterns," she commanded through her neural interface. The ship's quantum AI responded instantly, its artificial consciousness interfacing directly with her enhanced brain. "Analysis complete. Alien vessels are conducting systematic searches of local space. Search parameters suggest they are looking for small, cloaked objects. Probability of detection if we continue current approach, 73% and rising. They knew she was coming. Somehow, the aliens had anticipated humanity's likely response and were actively hunting for stealth ships. The Phantom's quantum cloaking might be invisible to human sensors, but alien technology operated on principles that humanity barely understood. Recommend alternative approach vectors, Luina requested. Analysis: no conventional approach vectors offer success probability above 15%. However, quantum calculations suggest an alternative strategy. The Phantom's quantum drive can create localized space-time distortions. By manipulating probability states, we could approach through alternate dimensional phases where conventional detection is impossible. Alternate dimensional phases. Luina's enhanced brain processed the concept quickly. Instead of moving through normal space, the Phantom could shift into a parallel quantum state where it existed adjacent to reality but not quite within it. The energy requirements would be enormous, and the psychological strain on the pilot would be significant, but it might allow her to penetrate the alien formation undetected. Initiate dimensional phase shift, she commanded. Reality dissolved around her. The stars, the alien ships, even Mars itself seemed to fade away, replaced by a strange realm where geometry followed different rules and colors existed that had no names. The Phantom moved through this alternate dimension like a ghost, its quantum home maintaining tenuous contact with normal space while existing primarily in a realm where the laws of physics were more like suggestions. Luina felt her consciousness stretching across multiple states of existence. Part of her remained in the pilot's chair, monitoring sensors and maintaining course toward the alien fleet. But another part of her seemed to drift through landscapes of pure mathematics, where probability clouds took on solid form and causality flowed backward through time. Through her quantum-enhanced perception, she could still sense the alien ships, but they appeared different in this alternate dimension. Instead of solid vessels, they seemed like collections of intent and purpose, their true nature revealed as geometric patterns of thought and desire. And at the center of the formation, the command ship blazed like a star of pure consciousness, a nexus of control that coordinated the entire fleet's activities. Target acquired, she reported, though she wasn't entirely certain whether she spoke the words aloud or simply thought them into existence. Beginning final approach. The dimensional phase shift allowed the Phantom to pass through the alien formation without detection, but maintaining the quantum state required constant focus. Luina felt her consciousness stretching to its limits as she navigated between realities, her enhanced brain processing information that existed in mathematical rather than physical form. As she approached the command vessel, Luina began to understand the true nature of their enemy. The aliens weren't simply another species with advanced technology. They were beings of pure thought, entities that existed primarily as conscious energy patterns rather than biological matter. Their ships weren't vehicles but extensions of their collective will, mobile platforms for consciousness that could manipulate matter and energy through direct mental control. Computer, analyze command vessel structure, she requested. Warning, target exists in multiple dimensional phases simultaneously. Conventional weapons would be ineffective. However, the quantum torpedo's ability to collapse probability states should allow it to affect the target regardless of its dimensional configuration. The quantum torpedo. Luina's one chance to strike at the heart of the alien fleet. But as she studied the command vessel through her enhanced perception, she realized that a simple weapon strike wouldn't be sufficient. The ship wasn't just a collection of technology. It was a living entity, a massive artificial consciousness that served as the coordination nexus for the entire fleet. To truly disable it, she would need to do more than damage its physical form. She would need to disrupt its consciousness itself. Computer, can the quantum torpedo be modified to target consciousness rather than matter? Theoretical possibility exists. By adjusting the weapon's probability matrix, we could configure it to disrupt quantum coherence patterns associated with organized thought. However, such modifications would require direct neural interface with the torpedo's guidance system. Direct neural interface. Luina would have to connect her consciousness directly to the weapon, guiding it not just to its target but into the target's mind itself. The process would leave her mentally linked to the explosion, experiencing the command vessel's destruction from the inside. She might not survive the experience, but if she succeeded, the alien fleet would lose its coordination and be forced to withdraw or face destruction by Mars's defensive systems. "Initiate torpedo modification sequence," she commanded. The Phantom's quantum systems responded to her will, reconfiguring the torpedo's probability matrix according to her specifications. Luina felt her consciousness expanding further as she established a neural link with the weapon, her mind becoming part of its guidance system. Through the torpedo's sensors, she could perceive the command vessel in even greater detail. The ship's consciousness was vast and alien, its thought patterns following logic that no human mind could fully comprehend. But beneath the surface alienness, she detected something familiar: fear. The aliens were afraid. Despite their technological superiority and overwhelming numbers, they feared humanity's potential. They had come not as conquerors but as preventers, seeking to eliminate a threat before it could fully develop. "Phantom to Mars Command," Luina transmitted one final message. "I've identified the alien motivation. They're not invading, they're trying to prevent humanity from becoming something they fear. Initiating final attack sequence." "Acknowledged, Phantom. Whatever happens, remember that 2 million people are alive because of your courage." Luina aligned the quantum torpedo with the command vessel's consciousness center, her enhanced perception allowing her to target the specific neural patterns that coordinated the entire fleet. The weapon existed in a state of quantum superposition, waiting for her mental command to collapse into reality and strike at the heart of alien command structure. "Target locked. Firing quantum torpedo." The weapon launched, and Luina's consciousness went with it. She experienced the torpedo's flight through alternate dimensions, felt its quantum matrix reconfiguring itself as it approached the target. And then, in a moment that seemed to last forever and no time at all, she made contact with the alien command consciousness. The experience was indescribable. For a brief instant, Luina's mind touched an intelligence so vast and ancient that human language had no words to contain it. She felt its fear of humanity's potential, its desperation to prevent the emergence of another species capable of transcending physical existence. But she also felt something else: recognition. The aliens weren't just afraid of what humanity might become. They were afraid because they had once been like humanity themselves, biological beings who had transcended their physical forms through technology and will. And in transcending, they had lost something essential: the creative spark that came from mortality, the drive to grow and change that could only exist in beings who faced death. Humanity represented the possibility of transcendence without loss, evolution without stagnation. And that possibility terrified them. The quantum torpedo detonated inside the command vessel's consciousness, its probability matrix designed to disrupt organized thought rather than destroy matter. Luina experienced the explosion from within, felt the alien command structure fragmenting as its neural patterns collapsed into chaos. But the link went both ways. As the alien consciousness died, part of it flowed into Luina's mind, carrying with it knowledge that no human had ever possessed. She learned the true history of the galaxy, the rise and fall of countless civilizations, the cycle of transcendence and decay that had repeated itself for millions of years. And she learned that humanity's survival depended not just on winning this battle, but on avoiding the mistakes that had claimed every other species that had reached for the stars. The Phantom shuddered as the dimensional phase shift collapsed, depositing the ship back into normal space just as the alien command vessel began its death throes. Around her, the remaining 16 ships faltered as their coordination network failed, their formation breaking apart as individual vessels struggled to adapt to independent operation. "Phantom to Mars Command," Luina transmitted, her voice weak but triumphant. "Command vessel destroyed. Alien fleet is in disarray. Recommend immediate counterattack while they're vulnerable." The response came immediately. "Acknowledged, Phantom. Colonial fleet is moving to engage. Outstanding work, Lieutenant. Return to base for debrief and medical attention." As the Phantom turned toward Mars, Luina watched the alien ships through her quantum-enhanced perception. Some were withdrawing, their consciousness patterns focused on retreat and survival. Others seemed confused, directionless without their command structure. A few had actually begun to approach Mars, but their intentions now seemed peaceful rather than hostile. The threat was over, but Luina knew that this was only the beginning. The knowledge she had gained from her brief contact with the alien consciousness would change everything: humanity's understanding of the galaxy, their place within it, and the dangers that lay ahead. Mars was safe, but the real battle for humanity's future was just beginning.